Good evening, everyone. It's April the 11th. It's Friday, and welcome to Adam's Stock Talk. Today, the Dow Jones Industry increased 1.56%. Nasdaq increased 2.06%. S&P 500 increased 1.81%, and the Russell 2000 increased 1.57%. For the week, Dow Jones Industry went up 4.95%. Nasdaq went up 7.29%. S&P 500 went up 5.70%. And the Russell 2000 went up 1.82%. Today's market is not a bull market. It's not a bear market. It's a monkey's market. The volatility is really high. But for the week, it's more like a choppy market. And information technology gained 2.73%. Communication service gained 1.16%. These two sectors gained the most, while energy lost 9.06%, and the real estate lost 4.78%. Let's look at the SPY, which is S&P 500 ETF. I think from a trading standpoint, it's a good stock to look at. So early in the session on Tuesday, the index have added 1,300 points. I mean, the Dow Jones Index. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq on the early is also gained about 4%. Then later the stock falls because the White House said that it plans to going forward with the 50% tariff on Chinese goods. So that will bring the overall tariff rate on Beijing to 104%. And the tariff will go into the effect that same day. So after the news, the SPY reversed and it lost 7.9 points, which is about 1.6% on that day. On Wednesday early morning, China said that it will raise its tariff on US to 84%, retaliating the hefty new tariff on its import that kicked in on Wednesday. So on that day, you can see that the SPY continues fall. In the early morning, a lot of people shorting the market. In the Wednesday afternoon, Trump announced that he's going to keep 125% tariff on China and on China only, but he's going to push the other countries' tariff increase to 60 to 90 days more, which bring a big market increase, which this is a V-shaped rebound, and the SPY gained 52.14, which is 10.5% on Wednesday. On Thursday, if I remember right, the US increased the Chinese tariff to 145%. And the US March CPI also announced on that day. It increased 2.4%, which is lower than the previous 2.8%. And the month to month is decreased 0.1%. Previously was 0.2%. And the US initial jobless claim increased. The jobless claim was 223,000, which previously was 219,000. So the CPI looks it's favorable, but the unemployment rate has increased. So that day, the SPY is end up was lost 4.38% on that day. On Friday, China increased the US tariff to 125%. Also, the US April University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index was published on that day. It's 50.8. The previous is 57. So the consumer confidence is dropping. And the 1 year, the inflation expectations is 6.7%. Previously is 5%. And 5 years inflation expectations is 4.4%. And previously is 4.1%. This 1 year inflation expectation and 5 year inflation expectations data basically tells us the inflation seems is more likely rising. And in 2024, the Treasury data also showed that on that day, the foreign official sectors had net sales of US Treasury bond totaling $60 billion, with 24 billion sold in December alone. Japan reduced its treasury holdings by 68 billion in 2024, making it the largest seller. Although the PPI data, which is also announced on that day, is favorable, PPI normally goes with the CPI. And the main reason for the overall market trend still heading downwards. And seems a lot of countries are selling off the US treasuries. But on Friday, the SPY gained 9.37, which is 1.78%, while the March inflation rate going down from 2.8 to 2.4. I don't want you to have the wrong thinking that the inflation had improved, because if you look at the earlier in September 2024, we also have 2.4. So we really need to pay attention to that. Will it continue to go down or will it rise? Because it could be coming back in the later months. Now let's look at SPY's. This is the monthly chart. When we look at those technical charts, we normally go with the monthly, then go to the weekly, and then go to daily. And for those day trade people, probably they will go into the hourly. But let's look at the monthly chart. A monthly chart, we can see that now this is the 5-day moving average have dead crossed with the 10-day moving average on a monthly chart. See that on the MACD, it also has a dead cross. Those are the long time trend. And the RSI, the relative strength index, is also going down. So all those tells that the long-term trend have been changed and it's going downwards. If you ask me what's safe place to re-enter into the market, I will shoot for, this is the, see this blue line? It's the 60-day moving average. And in the past 5 years also, there's only one time that is hitting the 60-day moving average. So I will use that as a re-enter points, which is about 450. So you can keep in mind, if we get into a bear market, which we haven't been there yet, if we get into it, 450 would be my entrance point, or my target price for the SPY, which is S&P 500 ETF. Now let's look at the weekly chart. On the weekly chart, see all the 5-day moving average, 10-day moving average, 20-day moving average, they are all going down now. And we have hit the 120 days moving average on that. Volume was significantly increased for the sell pressure, and MACD going down. They're going to go under the water, and the RSI. Look at RSI. Looks like there is a gold across here, so maybe indicating maybe there's a rebound. If we look into the daily chart, which is for the average people, mostly look at it, you see all the 5 days, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, 60 days. Now they are all in a bearish lineup and going downwards. So the overall trend is still going down. See, they are going down, so they may be further going down. Like I said in my last week's video. So overall, I think the market is still in a downtrend, and I wouldn't buy any individual stocks or long any individual stocks at this point. I would say for average people, probably be better to just sit still, or when the market shoots up, like in Wednesday, probably a time to looking for exit point for the long positions. If you are aggressive and you have the proper skill, you can probably short the market. But I'm not encouraging the average people to do that. Well, that's all for today. Hopefully you like my video and also benefit from it. And I will see you next Friday. Have a good week.